Hey, 222. And for those of you joining me for the very first time, this is me responding to various questions and comments get on various different videos. I never censor my comments, and I'm always open to people commenting, and I always encourage people, because you guys do control the conversation for the most part. I am responding to comments, and I never censor my comments, and whether we agree to disagree, it's always all good, so jump in on that. And this is where the big boy conversations happen, so, sometimes things get said that are offensive, sometimes, everybody has a different point of view, so that's good. Today's date is the 11th of February 2016, and I'm going to pick up where I left off on the last one. This one goes, Notregme, would you consider a good investment? What would you consider a good investment now? Keeping money in the bank is not going to be a good option pretty soon. Real estate, land, silver, what are your thoughts? Again, I'm no expert on that at all. Everything has its pros and cons. So, regardless of what you invest in, it's what are the pros and cons to it. So, gold and silver, there's a lot of gold bugs out there and silver bugs out there, and that's great and dandy and all. But you got a bar of gold. If you have a bar of gold, you're doing pretty good. But let's say you got an ounce of gold or whatever. Well, how do you spend it? Where do you spend it? Who accepts it? That's the stuff you need to work out how you're going to use it. Because if you can't figure out how you use it first, then particularly post-collapse. So post-collapse, I think cash is still going to be used. But I think maybe a little further down the road, gold and silver might be used. Because the system isn't set up for that yet. So it's not going to be set up, the day after. Of, okay, this is what gold and silver is worth, so we're now accepting gold and silver. And you have to understand who's setting that up now, and stuff like that. But I think gold and silver would be good, like for big purchases, like land or something like that. Land is always an investment to a point. It does cost you money to own land, so you have to keep that. That becomes a liability too. But with land, if it's good land or land that you can work, you can use it to grow food, stuff like that. So that's a good investment, right? Food, I think, is probably, in my opinion, the best investment you could possibly make. Storable food and seeds and stuff like that. Bread and bullets is more my thing, because I'm looking at it, gold and silver. Well, even post-collapse, think about it. There's one resource one investment people always overlook is their own natural skills. So if you're a person with skills, trust me, let's say you have welding skills or farming skills, you're going to be very valuable during an economic collapse, because others can't do that. Therefore, you're employable. How you get paid? Well, barter and trade might be one way you get paid. I don't know. You need a new pair of shoes. Somebody's here. You can have my first daughter to marry. Okay, fine, great. And the daughter's like, okay, I need a new pair of shoes. Here's my new husband. Barter and trade, right? However it's going to work, it's going to work. But you get the idea. So as far as what to invest in for myself, I am invested with what my many moons ago job did. They had like an investment with Manual Life, and I still have that investment. I don't put anything in it, but I can't touch it till I'm retired. I'm not trying to be a comedian today. Don't worry. Retire. It's a funny word nowadays. It really is. Jeez. And there's so many of us that don't know what's coming, And I feel so bad for my nephew's generation. He's going to get so soaked, especially with Trudeau. Throw all that debt on the back of the next generation. Just to live a better now. And it's not even a great living better now when you think about it, that it's setting you up for the biggest disaster in human history. But I'm invested in that, so I could lose that overnight. In 2008, I think out of 7 years, I had a total investment of about $25,000. Okay, in the bank, or in the locked-in savings plan, right? So I'm watching this thing. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. 2008, bang, I lose $11,000. So what am I going to lose on this one? I haven't recouped that. I haven't recouped that at all. Now, I did make a withdrawal on it, on one part of it that I could. I took out, I think, $3,500, and they tax you so heavily. You don't make any money on those things at all, unless you got billions in there. But it's like they tax you so heavily as soon as you take it out that it's like, what's the point? They should not be taxing retirement savings plans. It kind of goes against the purpose. Now, the Conservatives were allowing you to have $5,000 to $10,000 in a retirement savings plan, tax-free. It was a certain plan, and the Liberals have taken that away, or are going to take that away. Which, again, why is it always that we have to, and the argument from the Liberals was because that only helps the rich. 10 grand is not rich. You know what I mean? Like that's the way they think, and they can use that against other people because people don't realize that maybe someday you might not put 10 grand in there every year, but if you could, I mean, it doesn't mean you're necessarily rich. Maybe you're taking half of your income and putting it in there for the future. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So it's like, oh well, because it might help somebody out a bit more than somebody else. And they don't realize that always gets paid forward. But anyway, I digress. But land is a good idea because it's a place to go. Building on the land, that's I don't know how that's going to work post collapse. I don't know if the problem that could lead to is a lot of shanty shacks in towns and stuff like that. So that could lead to a lot of conflict right there. Food, you can't go wrong. That's my take. Gold, silver, I think it's a good idea. But how are you going to use it? I think that's what the problem I have is how do you use it? Like, how do you buy a loaf of bread with a piece of silver? And a piece of silver might be worth, God knows what. How are you going to know what it's worth? That's the other thing, So it's. I'm not saying don't go into that stuff, but those are things to consider. So you have to look at the pros and cons of everything. Regular cash may still be used. I think it's going to be used for a long time after, even if it's worthless. Even at Weimar Republic, I mean, people still had, a loaf of bread cost you a wheelbarrow of cash, but you still had a wheelbarrow of cash, but you made money with the wheelbarrow as well. You know what I mean? So until something new comes in, the cash always seems to kind of be lying around. Ireland after 2008, when there wasn't enough euros going around, people started going into their sock drawers and pulling out the old Irish money. So like that. So cash will always be a form because people just need an easy way to barter and trade, and that's what the whole point of cash is barter and trade. The idea of a banknote or money, like paper money, was IOUs for gold or silver when it was pegged to that. Now, if the Chinese peg their dollar to gold or silver, which they may do in the near future, I mean, they already reserve currency, but they're not going to do it until they buy as much gold as possible. Once there's like almost no gold left on the planet, then they're going to peg it to that. And then you could actually buy other currencies. This is something a lot of people don't look at. Let's say the United States currency, for example, goes down overnight. Well, other currencies might be up. So you could change your money into those currencies. Diverse. Every country does this. Every country has a certain amount of currency from other countries, which is that's how reserves typically work. You have a little bit of everything, right? You diversify. So it's not just gold and silver; it's everything, right? So that's something else to consider. I considered it myself. With a dropping loonie, I mean, heck, if you were to, that they're going to be propping up the U.S. dollar, you could take your Canadian money, exchange it for U.S. money, and if it drops, that could be an investment. You'll have to look at what the trends are, but right now, listen to the forecasters. If they say, okay, well, the forecasters here in Canada are a little more honest, even though they're corrupt, but they're still a little more honest. Their forecast, okay, well, our dollar's going to, maybe bottom out somewhere at 55 cents or something like that. Okay, so that they call for this week after week after week. Okay, maybe you'll take a bit of a gamble, maybe take $1,000 or whatever, you do you, and then you go buy the U.S. currency because it's fake, phony, and false, and propped up. But if that currency goes, you lose everything. It's a gamble, right? But if you win, when you switch your American currency back, even with the exchange rate, you might take another loss there, but you might gain 10% on the value or something. And if the Canadian dollar really goes down, let's say there's a 50-cent U.S. dollar and a 14-cent Canadian dollar, which I think we're going to get to 14 cents at some point. Well, with Trudeau, it's not a matter of if. It would be lucky if it doesn't go lower than that. So if you bought in, let's say at 72 cents or 69 cents to the American dollar, and then the American dollar stays, say, somewhere around 55 cents, and you go down to 14-cent dollar, you've made a lot of money. You know what I mean? Then it's knowing when to get out, right? So, just before the market stopped. But then you could take that, turn around, buy gold, silver, and whatever. So these are just ideas I have. I don't actually practice them. But except for, buy enough. You don't have to go ridiculous with it, but buy what you think you'd need to be able, again, 16 weeks to get in a good garden and grow an edible crop. The average person needs about 2,000 pounds of food a year in North America. So whatever that means to you, that's the type of, and a way to defend the food is ammunition is going to be worth more than gold in a doomsday anyway. Stock up on 22 caliber, stock up on 308, 30-06, whatever. Even calibers you might not necessarily shoot. It's going to be worth a lot. It's going to be worth a lot. Hey, you got a box of 20? yeah, well, I can only sell you one for maybe 5 tomatoes, a loaf of bread, and a pork chop. You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows what people will be willing to pay? I mean, it's going to be ammunition is going to be a currency. That's why bread and bullets is more my thing, and it's tradable to the common man. You got to think, Farmer John or Ghetto Joe. What are they going to trade for? You know what I mean? What are they going to trade for? What's going to be valued to them? So some people might be gold watches, some people might be fine art, some people might be food, some people might be whatever. Food, you know for sure, is tradable. Seeds will definitely be high value. So it's a little bit of a different concept, but it's a currency at its root when you think about it, that it's tradable. So anyway, yeah, there we go. The majority of European women support open borders, political parties, and are indeed whores who hold cheap their homeland history. Western value and their own bodies. That's willingly giving to the scum of the earth. For every white woman or minor girl raped, many more willing sleep with the invaders. Their blood is on their own heads. They emasculated their sons and voted for parties that destroy their own civilization and countries. If they are becoming the harem wenches for their Muslim masters, this is a fate of their own making. Swedish, Jewish, and British women are, with small exception, are the worst sort of feminists and Marxists. Let them enjoy the gifts of their radical ideologies. Bring a side note. Sri Lanka has female circumcision. Yeah, I guess. See that. Again, I don't blame all the women because I know not all women are leftists to that degree. Yes, most women, statistically speaking, vote left. There's no doubt about that. And some are naive, and I think education goes a long way. And like I say, if you look at, there was one victim, her and her mother were attacked, and you can see the interview on YouTube somewhere. I think it was called Clone Victim Speaks Out or something like that. And, cute little blonde hair, blue-eyed little Wiener Schnitzel. Wiener Schnitzel. I call her Little Wiener Schnitzel just because it sounds cute. Even I think it's a hot dog or something. But anyway, but again, this is a girl, 15, probably not even old enough to vote, right? So you can't blame girls that are not old enough to vote, and you can't expect them to know the ways of the real world. Like a lot of people don't even, a lot of adults have no concept of the real world. And most of these champagne liberals live behind gated communities, metaphorically speaking, but they don't live amongst the people that they're advocating for. They don't know how different of an ideology they actually have. But now they're starting to see it. So reality is a good teacher, pain is a good teacher. And I remember, and you could see it in the girl's face when they asked her, how do you feel about the, letting in refugees, the mass open border policy now? And she said, I'm not so sure anymore. Because somebody finally taught her. Unfortunately, it was, being roped, and I mean, she literally said they did that to her. You know what I mean? So she goes, they weren't trying to pick my pockets. They were molesting her. So he said, well, that's not really rape. Fuck off. Come on. People who try to move that line, come on, keep it reasonable. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and it gives you the mindset of what's coming now. I think it's this weekend coming is Carnival from the making of this video, so by the time you see this video, it might be past. The Germans are they're going to bring out the frickin' army for this one. I have a feeling that we're going to see stuff. I don't know if we'll see what happened in Cologne, but we're going to see stuff. That said, an ISIS, I think a pretty high-ranking ISIS guy was caught in Germany or France last night or the night before amongst the refugees. They're there. So is it all of them? It's not all the refugees. And that's the only argument you get. But it's not all of them. Yeah, we're not worried about all of them. We're worried about the dangerous ones because we don't know who's coming in. So how many are dangerous? I don't know. That's the first alarm that you should be raising is we don't know. Stop them. And you hear it from some of the what you would call far right parties, which are really nationalist socialist, which is upper left. But again, I like to use the correct terms. They're not far right. These are not right wing people. These are nationalists. They're as collective based as you could possibly. They're like a bunch of penguins on an iceberg. They're all jammed together. And they all kind of streamlined. You know what I mean? That's left. Libertarian is right. That's right wing. Anarchist is right wing. Not anarcho-communist, or anarcho-capitalist. I mean, it's anarchy is on the right. It's no rules, no laws. It's so far right that it's damaging. Well, anarchy is nor good nor bad. It's how you use it, right? It's, no laws, no rules, no repercussions. That's what anarchy is. Libertarianism is as much liberty as possibly imagined. Libertine would be on the left, where it's liberty for us, but not all the little goyims out there running around, and stuff like that. That's so there. You go to the Nolan scale; it'll teach you a lot. And when you can understand what you're arguing for, that's how you see socialist, communist, Marxist. That's how you find out who's really what. So when you hear people say, "I'm a progressive," look at their ideologies. It's very cultural Marxist based, almost on all of it, and economically, they're definitely communist. They're definitely communist. The spreading of wealth. They follow Karl Marx left, right, center. You have to understand, communist has to keep rebranding itself because it always fails once people catch on to what it is. But if you already know what to look for, you'll see that every country in the world is either communist, socialist fascist, which is the majority of Western countries. Whether they're little socialist fascists to the left, little socialist fascists to the right. At the end of the day, when you have government and business in bed together, you have fascism. And yes, they do have like Canada's a socialist country. There's no doubting about that. We're socialist, fascist now, slightly to the left. The last government, we were socialist, fascist to the right. Free trade deals, that's about as fascist as you can get. It'll help this corporation. It kills all the small businesses. Government helps it along, right? But no, I don't blame the women. I think there's, you have to understand here, even in Canada, there's maybe 20% of women are actually support third wave feminists. Most of them don't support that. Most women are, and it's the same in the States. It's probably the same in Europe. The problem is the media promotes third wave feminism. Therefore, it makes it appear as if every woman that's out there that they remember when you're watching the BBC or something like that, or here on the CBC, they're never going to interview somebody. They might interview they'll have 5 interviews. One person might share sensible views. The rest are going to be radical left to try to make you brainwash you into thinking this is the way you're supposed to think. It doesn't work. It goes against natural intuition. So I give women a little bit more credit. Yes, some of them get duped into we're going to help these people. It's for the women and children and charity, but they don't tell they don't get it. A lot of them are starting to wake up to the idea that hey, they're manipulating the vote. They're manipulating the vote. There's a big difference between saying it'd be nice to have a woman as a president because it'd be nice to see a woman earn her way there. And here in Canada, we already had a female prime minister, and she was a complete disaster. Kim Campbell, she was just a complete disaster. And why? Because she got there because she was a woman. Hence why we haven't voted in another woman yet. We scrutinize. We scrutinize a little more. Unfortunately, we got a male feminist kindergarten teacher running the country, but at least he boxes. If I could say, if I try to find one good thing, at least he boxes. But even at that, and Trudeau is like, okay, I want 50% men, 50% women, and I'm sure half the men are going to have to be of anything other than white, right? You think of the hypocrisy in that, him being a white guy, but that's what he's calling for. So it's not about people earning their way there anymore. It's about filling quotas. Now, what was it, Gloria Steinem and that douchebag and what was it, Madame Albright? You talk about the face of Dr. Evil right there. Yeah, we killed 1.5 million Iraqis, women and children. Do you think it was worth it? Yeah, we believe it was worth it. And yet these people walk free, on a line. It boggles the mind. And what did she say? For those who don't vote for Hillary Clinton, it's a great atrocity against women or something like that. I can't remember which one of them said it, but it was one of those two douchebags that said it anyway. And I'm like, okay, so it's more important that we have Hillary Clinton down there as a president because she's a woman, rather than the fact, who cares about what her merit is? This woman is criminal beyond belief. She's a genocidal maniac. Look at Libya, tells you everything what a Hillary Clinton policies are going to be like, and how is she going to be able to stand off against Putin? She'll get us killed. She's nuts. She's a psycho. Anybody with a rational mind can tell that this woman isn't playing with a full deck. She's as criminal elitist as possible, and she's Marxist. She's Hillary Clinton is openly Marxist. She has enough comments and statements not taken out of context. Her merit of her character speaks for itself. She is Marxist. That's what makes her a very terrifying woman. And yet there are going to be women that will vote for her because she's a woman. That's it. But Anybody with any education will say, no, 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 no. And for my female viewers, what I tell you is, wake up other women. Tell them, just give them like little cookie crumb. Don't really argue or bash them over the head. Oh, you got to think that you can't do that. But just you think it's logical, and insert whatever ridiculous thing you're trying to refute. That they would be saying, well, yes, but the only way they can do that is, like what I say, well, it's like, okay, when people say, oh, well, we got to raise the minimum wage. Yes, but if you raise the minimum wage, it kills the mom and pop shops, and it statistically does. It does, because they can't compete and hire more people. In other words, they go out of business. So you hire a handful of people, but you put this many people out of work. Unions are the same thing. Unions sound like a great idea. Women are more likely to vote for unions, but you actually end up with more cash in your pocket, more people hired at the end of the day if you don't have a union. Now, labor laws, yeah, a country with good labor laws, you don't need unions, that type of thing. So you bring in the arguments like that rather than trying to tell them how to think. Get them to think for themselves. And trust me, once they start thinking for themselves, then they're going to go with the person who's the most qualified. This is what I do like about Donald Trump. Even if he is, at the end of the day, yes, his daughter's married to a Goldman Sachs guy, and Hillary Clinton's in bed with the Goldman Sachs guys. But, I don't know how Donald Trump's going to be towards Goldman Sachs. He might be, because, yes, his daughter might be married to a Goldman Sachs guy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that guy doesn't have a trick up his sleeve and say, hey, you know what, here's the policies you're going to change if you want to. We can't assume he's obviously, oh, well, he's Jewish, so he's going to be bad. He's going to be a Zionist straight away. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't be. But we'll know if Donald Trump gets elected and Goldman Sachs gets a free pass on everything, or if all of a sudden there's all these arrests going on. And the way I'm reading Donald Trump, and I think he is pretty straightforward, is that I think the big bankers are going to, I think he's going to pull, because he hasn't been really talking about the big banks, I think he's going to, I have a hunch. I'm not saying he's going to. Again, you can't put all your faith in one man. That's, I know that. But I think what's going to happen as soon as he gets in, you know what? I'm going to audit the Fed, Goldman Sachs, all these guys. I'm going to audit them all, and then just start throwing the cuffs out there. Just round them all up. I have a feeling he's going to be that guy. And if he is, they're going to knock him off. There's no doubt about that. I mean, look at the lengths, not so much just the left-wing parties, but the right-wing parties, the GOP. Look at the length they're going to demonize Donald Trump. And he's like, I'm looking at, what was the New Hampshire, I think was I didn't watch the debate. I don't have to. I know how it's going to go anyway. It's going to have all these other people speaking fairy tales and ridiculousness, and Donald Trump, bull in a china shop. So you really, I know what Trump's going to say. He's pretty consistent. I think he's always been pretty good. Yeah, he flip-flops a bit in the sense that he doesn't read off a teleprompter. He speaks from so yeah, he's going to contradict himself a few times. Everybody does that. And I hate it when people are like, see, he said this then, and then he said this now. Yeah, but he means, his theme is consistent. Okay, he's not going to get word for word every time, unless he's reading off a teleprompter. So do you want the guys reading off the teleprompter? Because that teleprompter is in front of them, because that's their script. Or do you want the guy just letting it fly like a bull in a china shop? You know what I mean? That's why people like Donald Trump. And even he's popular amongst women voters. That will be his biggest demographic. But he also knows that the feminists, the third-wave feminists, you can't reach them anyway. So it's at this point, it's go for broke. Be honest. And that's one thing people like about Donald Trump. He's honest. And I'm not saying he's going to fix the country. The other thing is they could possibly be throwing the election. You have to understand all the other to say, okay, I was looking at like Paul Craig Roberts and Joe Scalzo, but they both say, yeah, they want to give you a Republican in the States for the next president. But they also, too, might want to let the system go on his watch so that people never vote right again. That's what I thought they were going to do with Rand Paul. Oh, if we're going to let the system go, or we're going to let go on a libertarian watch, that way nobody will ever question us again. That's the way those people think, right? And that's a possibility. That is a possibility. But even at that, if the system collapsed, I think right away, government, okay, well, Donald Trump be like, okay, well, we're firing off everything that doesn't make money. we're pulling out of all these countries. Bang, everybody's home. Okay, yeah, I think that would be a dream come true for him because he could restart the whole system honestly. And I think he would. I really do think he would. Like no, he's a Zionist shill. Yeah, he's pro-Israel. There's a difference between pro-Israel and Israel worship. Ted Cruz. This is what bugs me about Ted Cruz is he's an Israeli worshiper. I'm devoted to Israel. Donald Trump, if you ask him about it, he says, yeah, I'm pro-Israel, whatever. Okay, but he doesn't go on and on and on and on. even he said, well, are we loyal to Israel or are we loyal to the United States? Something along that line. It's kind of like, I thought we were having a debate on America, not how much we love Israel. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. And it's true. People see that. Like you can't vote for a Jewish guy anymore. You just can't because of Zionism, right? And it's not fair to all. And I'm sure there is some really good Jewish guys out there that would be very good. Bernie Sanders. I mean, I would never vote for him, but I do like some of his message. Because he probably knows the system better than anybody. I mean, he's going to know who the shills are. So maybe, just maybe, if it comes down to Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, you kind of, and this is going to sound strange, but you kind of win a little bit because you're not getting Hillary or Jeb Bush. As long as you don't end up with those two, I mean, the other ones haven't proved how bad but Marco Rubio is going to give the country away to the TPP. I don't think Trump will sign it. I don't think Bernie Sanders will sign it. And Bernie Sanders is an open communist. He's not hiding it. He's socialist, but he's socialist communist is what he is. Because you can't get that socialism without communism. you have to force the hand to make people bend to that will. So that's my take on it. But I don't know. Again, and I'm not, I mean, if I was an American, yeah, I'd vote Trump just to see what happens. I'm like, at this stage of the game, the country's fucked anyway. Like, let's see what happens. Roll the dice. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, hang on for the ride, That's about it. But I know voting for Hillary Clinton gets you right into a thermonuclear war with the Russians. I mean, it's not like we're not close enough as it is. But yeah, I mean, I want to know how Trump is going to stand up to Brzezinski, Kissinger, and Soros, and other douchebags like that, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, and all the other douchebags in there. I think because he's so open, they can't touch him. He's too open. He never comes out saying, "I'm going to let you in on a big secret next Wednesday," and then gets knocked off. No, it's bang. Here's what's happening. Bang. Here's who's doing it. Bang. Here's who took Goldman Sachs money. Bang. Here's who took that. That's what he does. So it's like they don't even have time to counter it because they don't know what he's going to say next. It's a nightmare for them. And you can see it. I mean, look at the polls in the last one, New Hampshire. I think it was either Ted Cruz or Rubio was at like 15%. Everybody else, like Jeb Bush, was like, I don't even think he was on there. Everybody's like under 10%, right? And Donald Trump, 35. That's not a slight lead. And yet the mainstream media is, we don't know, the fad's going to wear off. He's not going to win. And it's even up here in Canada, the CBC's like, Hillary Clinton this, Hillary Clinton, you know what I mean? Like, but, people don't buy it because they're not stupid anymore. They've already been bit by the policies. Like the girl in Cologne, people in the States, they're feeling what Obama's policies are. The biggest people that are going to turn on Obama are are the same people that turned on him in 2012. His own voters. Again, the people who are going to be the most pissed by him because that's the people who the Democrats have let down the most. And I mean, look at amongst black voters. Black voters love Donald Trump. They do. And I think if they are, the black people should vote for Donald Trump because he's not going to be nice to you, but he's going to be fair. He's going to make sure you earn your keep, but he's going to make sure you can get a keep to earn. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. He's going to make sure there's going to be jobs. I think, I believe he's going to be the best jobs president ever. Yes, Donald Trump always filed for bankruptcy once. Yeah, and he learned from his mistake, and he's a businessman, and now look how successful. He's not the most wealthiest man on the planet, but you get the idea that this man is a businessman. He's going to run the United States like a business. It's going to prosper. Countries are going to prosper off the United States big time. Yeah, but that's my take on that. So, hey, Reg, since you now have 12,000 and over followers, what perhaps some of the world elites follow your channel? LOL. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. I know the RCMP at one point was following my channel because I ended up in a CBC documentary, Finding the Free Man. And that came from, this is why I make my call out to the law enforcement military, just in case, oh, quiet, dog. You're interrupting the video. Anyway, but the case in point is that I know from time to time videos like mine might fall across the eyes of a DHS agent or an NSA guy or a CSIS guy or RCMP or whoever. And you know what? That's good because that's why I, throw the odds out there. If you are a upstanding police officer and you really, because your family's going to be affected by all this crap too, arrest the central bankers. I mean, that's why I give names. I don't have addresses, but they got the resources. I mean, there's no CSIS guy, even the most low-level CSIS analyst, which is like your FBI type of thing, or like your CIA, okay, in the States. or MI5 in Britain. That's what we call them CISAs here. So that's our Secret Intelligence Service, right? Even the guy on the lowest level has enough information to find out who all the corrupt bankers and world elites are. But yet, where are the handcuffs? Go out and get them. Never mind going after guys like me. I'm such small change that, okay, yeah, you arrested me. Ooh, wow, and the world still is horrible. But you listen to a guy like me, one charge, crimes against humanity. You can detain these people without warrant right now. Use their own laws against them. You know, they're never expecting that kind of backfire because they're libertine-minded people, the world elites. They never think anything bad's going to happen to them because they think they such control of the system. No, you make it public, and you'll get fired. They'll make an example of you, but they'll martyr you. And then after that, it's a penguin effect. The first cop that jumps off that iceberg to let all the other penguins know that the water's safe and there's no killer whales down there, I guarantee you will have a whole bunch of cops going forward with brave lawyers, prosecutors, and restore rule of law, because once rule of law is gone, your job becomes your death sentence. It really does. Anybody that is going to work for the new wave jackboot thugs is not going to fare out well. Their families are not going to fare out well. I can guarantee you. Just to be able to and why would you want to defend people that evil? These people are, right now there's a 93-year-old man on trial for being an SS guy at Auschwitz. Okay, that's great and dandy, But here's the problem I have. You're worried about something that happened 70, 80 years ago. That's fine. But what about all these world elites like George Bush, weapons of mass destruction? 1.5 million people died. Now, they're going to charge this SS guy with 170 counts of assisted murder, accomplice to murder. Okay? 1.5 million people. George Bush, Senior, Junior, that whole administration. Cheney, Rumsfeld, all these guys, Bush, Blair, you get Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Soros, all these guys. Their money leads to death purposely, and they openly admit this stuff. Kissinger, same thing, Vietnam, Hawaii. And yet you're protecting them. So, again, you guys watch my channel, shame on you if you're not upholding the rule of law. Because if you don't uphold the rule of law, and people stop believing in the rule of law, bad things are going to happen, really bad things. And this might cost you your family's lives, that type of thing. You don't want to be in that situation saying, you're a cop that was fighting for the New World Order. What's going to happen to you and your family? I'm not making any threats against you. Just think about it logically. But you're the cop that put Jacob Rothschild in jail and Evelyn Rothschild in jail and Christine Lagarde and all them? Can I shake your hand, sir? I'll kiss your toes. Thank you. You saved humanity. Like, is it really that hard? I mean, give me the fucking badge. I'll do it. I mean, that's what I'm telling people. Make a list. Print out the faces of these people. Because when the new Nuremberg trials happen after the next economic collapse, we can't let these people get away. And if the grid goes down, we want to be able to positively identify this thing. One of the things about the guy with Auschwitz, the reason why they're charging him at 93 is because they had to find somebody who could recognize it, say, yes, I know for sure that's the guy that was at the gate or whatever. Because that's how they got those people, was eyewitness. That's it. So lots of them they can't get because they can't positively identify. In this day and age, there's absolutely no excuse with high definition resolution printers. Print out good 8x11s. There's like, okay, that's that guy. Yeah, we know for sure that's who it is. Like Henry Kissinger, you can't miss that ugly fucker anywhere. Like he could never disguise himself. But anyway. Yeah, put him in jail already. Jeez, save humanity. Look at us, Notregme. We have the world thinking we are nice. Bullshit there, right, buddy? We have violence in our cities. We have racism in our nation, right? This country was founded by killing off the First Nations, Inuit, Métis, the liberal church system. Oh yes, right is another welfare bum native bitching and moaning about the past again. Joke's on you guys. Don't see what the Marxist is doing to you fired out little brains. Well, look, my plight with the natives is the same I've always said. I mean, being part native myself, okay, I'll never be one of them, but, I'm part native like most people. And I understand this is a part of the culture. When I say I'm a Canadian nationalist, their culture is something I definitely want to preserve. But the problem with the natives is they're stuck on the reserves. They can have their culture, they can do all these things, but they're so obsessed with getting reparations for shit years ago, rather than working on a system that's going to actually prosper for them. They have to do it for themselves is what I'm telling them. It's the same for anybody. It's the same thing I tell the blacks in the States. You have to do it for yourself. And the liberal governments, the problem is the natives, and again, they got duped on this one. They finally, because they're allowed to vote, they don't have to vote, but they're allowed to vote. You have to understand, First Nations people are a nation within a nation. They're not necessarily, don't consider themselves Canadians. They have a different set of laws than every other Canadian. If you've got like a native status and a band number, you have a different set of laws that you go by. Because you're bound by treaty, not by modern laws. So that's fine and dandy. I have no problem with that. Honor the trees, fine, sure. But the thing is that the natives came out in protest to vote majority liberal. Yeah, they just bit themselves in the ass because the liberals are the ones that keep you on the reserve. The Harper government, a lot of people say, Harper government threw a lot of money at more than the liberals ever in history have thrown at the First Nations. Now, I'm not saying the Harper government's the best in the world. Again, to me, they were just lesser of evils. But the thing is that at the end of the day, the liberals, again, yes, they got the Truth and Reconciliation thing. They're going to keep you binded up on crap like that. I'm not saying Native women's girls disappearing isn't important stuff, but that's the stuff they want you binded up. They're not saying, you know what, we're going to find a way to make sure that you guys can run your own economy. We're going to find a way to make sure that you guys can prosper so that you're not having the high rates of suicide and alcoholism and all those bad things. If I were running the country, I'd make sure you had that. But it comes with self-reflection. You have to do it for yourself. And, if you're constantly teaching the natives that they're always victims, in this day and age, it's just shameful. Because it's so toxic. It's the same thing with the blacks in the States. It's so toxic. Trust me, any of the natives I ever went to school with that got off the reserve, trust me, they're all doing well now. What I mean by getting off the reserve is stop waiting for the handout. Stop waiting for the handout. Move forward. Get a job. Do something that you like to do. Don't rely on the government. Great, you got a grant to build another smoke shop. Great. Okay. You might make a little money on that. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, I have no problem with that. But is that really what you want to be doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. No, I definitely am very sympathetic to the natives people, but I'm tough, but I'm fair. I think I'm very fair. This idea, just give us more money, give us more money. Obviously, that's not working. Attawapiskat is a perfect example of that. So many of these reserves in Canada. Look, we're bringing in Syrian refugees, giving them $4 million a month to bring in these people and house them and give them first-class lifestyle, full medical stuff. And we got native reserves. They don't even have running water. Worse than third world conditions. In my country, that's completely shameful. And I point that out, And is it because of the white man? No, it's not because of the white man. It's because of the political systems. You have to vote for people who allow you to flourish, but you have to do things for yourself. The biggest con for the natives is making them believe that they have to get welfare. They have to be compensated. That's the biggest con ever. Because while you're waiting with your handout, oh yeah, every government promises the same thing. Oh, we're going to fix this. We're going to fix. No, they're not. They're not going to fix it. After a couple of 100 years, aren't you going to catch on? They're not going to fix it. They don't want to fix it. They don't want to fix it. So the question is you have to fix it from community base. And I promote that. Now, that said, as the country becomes less and less, becomes more multicultural, the less and less the natives are going to get. They must realize this. And I'm not against, people coming in from other countries, but you have to understand, with mass immigration goes sovereignty, goes nationalism, goes, again, what I want, and one thing you got to be fair with the natives too. And again, everybody has to self-reflect. Everybody's always, 500 years ago, you guys did this to us. Yeah, but look what you were doing to each other before we even got here. The Huron and the Algonquin. War for how long? 1,000 years of killing each other? The Inuit and the Crow. How long were they killing each other for? So it's not just the white man. You guys were doing it to yourselves too. So that said, that's history. That's behind us. Let's not repeat it. So that type of thing, you have to be fair about it. So I get it. It's easier to, blame the white man and whatever. Okay, whatever. But does that get you anywhere? No, it doesn't. So I think you need to direct your energy towards something positive towards yourself and your community. That drugs and alcohol are not going to be it. Waiting for welfare is not going to be it. You have to do things, And voting for liberals was a bad fucking idea. That's like kicking yourself in the nuts. It really is. It really is. But and it's not just you guys that did it. A lot of people got duped on the Justin Trudeau thing. They're going to find out in 8 months how bad of an idea it really was. Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. The next one is really, really big, but I do know what my dog is barking at. She's saying, Reg, get up here, because there's a cassicle outside. I have to go up my cat outside again. Wow, she keeps going outside. It's not my fault. Okay, well, I'll take this time to tell you about a really bizarre dream I had. And last night I dreamt about a black moose. Like literally, yeah. See, there's my cat. So see, my dog defends my cat. And then that's community. That's community. That's the cat and dog community. Oh my God, catsicle. See, there. You happy now? You see, she was barking. You know, Reg, get out there and let the frickin' cat in. And it's probably cold out there. Yeah, it's like -20. Oh, she must be mad at me. She must be mad at me. Okay. I'm sorry. My bad. But anyway, yeah. So I'm dreaming last night, and I'm dreaming my dad and I had this giant pet moose. Yeah, you heard me. And it was a big black moose, kind of like moose aren't black, but like Lacey's color. And it kept eating my dad's socks. Sound familiar? Just like Lacey. It's like, yeah, like who dreams of a moose that goes around eating socks? And it kept like puking up socks all over the place because it kept eating my dad's socks. I woke up kind of like, you ever have a dream like that and you wake up like, what the fuck? Like, who has a pet moose that eats socks? But anyway, yeah, you get the idea. But to all my native brothers and sisters out there, I do feel for you and stuff like that. But I'm tough. You know, I'm tough, but I'm fair. I don't want to give you everything you want just because you're going to bitch for it. But I do want to see you guys do better. I understand the native community, you know, okay, arguing, okay, well, we're here first. Yeah, okay, yeah, that doesn't really matter. You're here now. And because you're here now, you got to take care of yourselves. And if you don't take care of yourselves, no one else is going to do it for you. And that's the first thing you got to believe in yourself a little more. Native culture, I love going to powwows and seeing the different, traditions and stuff. I love that stuff. That's awesome. But I also get too that the gangs are toxic, the drugs are toxic. I understand there's a lot of depression, but it's not going to help you until you can wrangle the youth. You know what I mean? Like you need to give them really positive outlooks. And if they don't have that, you know, nothing changes, right? So, but yeah, no, I do appreciate that comment for sure. And I know it's always a hot topic when you're talking about the natives. But again, you got to think about the now. Never mind the past. The past is gone. Been there, done that. What are you doing for yourself now? And if doing for yourself means we're going to go out and protest to see if we can get more promises from the government that they can't keep, well, then that's on you. That's learn from it. You know, learn from it. You know what I mean? Honor the treaties. Yeah, fight for the treaties. Definitely, sure. Why not? But you know, you have to. It has to start within the community, and it has to be positive. But anyway, there we go. Now this one, hopefully I can get this one in here. Hi, fellow Canuck. I agree with everything you said, but what you said was way understated. We here in Canada have to get busy to fight Trudeau and get him out. He is a fucktard. I second. Puppet of someone. I would love to know who's truly pulling his strings. I think it's the same Rothschild banking system. But regardless, and UN, world stage. That's all I could talk about is the world stage. Yeah, UN, right there. So Rockefeller, Rothschild. Regardless, he is going to contribute massively to Canada's demise, and if he is allowed to run free, he will bring in so many immigrants that we will be being lost to all secondary societies, which I was, and where I live now in London. He will destroy places like Victoria, Hamilton, Calgary, Moose Jaw, and interior of BC. Eventually, even Quebec and Maritimes will be filled up with these aliens. And damn it, I couldn't care less if anyone tries to call me racist or bigot. I am proud to be labeled as a racist. It means I care about my people and my country. Fuck anyone who is white and who does not speak up for our race and our country. Fuck them and their traitors and self-hating defeatists. And I will continue to give them a voice. We will fall off the demographic cliff completely. I am dead serious. We cease to exist except for a very small minority who now no longer contributes to the culture of the future of this planet. Count on it. The Jews are behind all this crap. The Zionists, they are going to, well, I call them Zionists, Jews, yeah. I don't think all Jews are behind it, but, you know, the ones in power, they speak for themselves, right? So they are going to be reap heavily of what they have sown. I believe that, yeah. The 10th expulsion of the Jews, I think, is going to be, you know, completely genocidal. They're going to wake up, and I'm not making this any, threats. It's just, I believe that's what's going to happen. The culture, future of the, lost my, this is a really big one. I lost myself here. Zionists heavily. Yeah. Zionist. I'm just going to delete this much. So they're big like that. Sometimes you lose them all. They are going to reap heavily of what they sown. They are going to wake up one morning and discover that all those white-run Western countries who used to pledge allegiance to Israel, promised to stand beside them in times of war, they are now all finishing as vastable states. Yes, Zionist demons, your former partner in crime and puppets and dupes, all of them now barely alive as human beings. They certainly are not going to be in a position to help you now that the Muslims are finally ready to destroy you in total. Finally, everlasting annihilation, yes. What a glorious day. I don't want to see anybody wiped off the planet, but yeah, we do got to stop the nonsense. There's no doubt about that. And that's why I make the plea to law enforcement military, so that we could put these people in jail so that stuff like this doesn't happen. The day the bankers and their satanic brethren, along with the rest of their demonic fuckwads and their racist, hateful families will sink into the morass of slime and stink. Blood-soaked bodies falling one after another until all of Israel has been eradicated, and everlasting vestige of Jewish Zionist wealth in every country on the planet has been raked clean and sent to hell, where they have been destined at the end since practically birth. So yes, I am happy with your video, but I think you need to lighten up on the Nazis, because sometimes we actually need certain attitudes to help start the ball rolling, and the Nazis bring to the table is something that can hopefully fuel the groundwell of the common Canadian, along with thousands of Europeans who are finally at the point where they are not going to remain silent for their children's future. And it's a big one. I'm not done yet. Are constantly and purpose thrown away with any hope of regaining something that might bring hope and pride to our race. Yes, this is what Nazi ideology can bring to the struggle for the future. After we have dislodged the traitors, government and media, and exercise the tumor of which the immigrant population within our collective borders, then and only then we can bring to temper political and social sentiments of Nazis, which the group collective will most likely not agree with. For now, though, we need to reach out to all who even remotely feel as a Nazi and a blatant racist do. These people are the strongest hope at the time of national cultural racial collapse. If we turn our backs on these folks, if we continue to allow the Zionist control mass media, mainstream media, buggers on sensibilities and their disgusting PC programming with their sneaky, manipulative operative that is directly towards us and each of us, especially our most vulnerable, we must control the swayward demographic on our children. Then we will may as well pack it in and do mean any hope for happy, wealthy, safe, and loving future for any of us. Andrews Resnick was misguided in his targets. He should never have attacked youth of his country, regardless of their parental flaws at the time. Apparently, they said he attacked a lot of communist supporters. It was some sort of a communist rally, or kind of what we'd call a pseudo-communist rally, or whatever. I wasn't aware of that. I knew he was going after Muslims too, but yeah, he should have tried to blow up the success of mosques and perhaps targeted the PM of the country. Again, I'm never calling for violence. Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with all this, but I understand the mindset. This is what I'm talking about, what's coming, right? As a symbol of the failure of every Christian European leader's political goals, their respectives in the countries, this would have made the statement that made many who currently of their fence as actions that they have available themselves if they wish to physically fight here and now against the growing enemy in their midst. You see, Brevnik could have been as important, as inspiring as the Tunisian man who set himself alight. Yes, it has that, only attacked the PM, and it was able to destroy perhaps 20 mosques. Well, they might have been enough to start a revolution perhaps. Anyways, as you say, things are going to boil over sooner or later. Yeah, I believe that, yeah, because it is in no way that the white people of Europe are going to actually allow themselves to become second-class minority citizens in their own nations. This will not happen peacefully. So no matter what, there will be a point where their army and police no longer orders from traitors wish to see their families destroyed without future. So these people who truly hold power in their hands will finally rise up and clean up the neighborhoods. This includes the Zionists, the media, the prostitutes, who will try very hard to blind what is the left of the Christian white people. Unfortunately for them, things will have progressed to the point where there's nothing they could try to use to save themselves. Holocaust, anti-Semites, etc., etc. I think that's already here now. My opinion, anyway, it's already here now. We will hold, announce, and sway with one proud state fast. Hardened men and women will be so ready to fight by then to save their families, their future, and anyone standing in their way, well, look out. Well, I got to, geez, that's right on the line. But anyway, there's not much more I could add to that. I don't necessarily agree with everything in there, but I see the sentiment, and I will say one thing, yes, the neo-Nazis, not that I necessarily agree with them, will be the tip of the spear. Because they're ready to go, right? They're always ready. 1488, day of the rope, let's go. They're already there. So, yeah. And there was I think, I got to wrap this up real quick before my camera cuts off, but there was a couple of guys arrested that were planning that, attacking mosques. Again, things I've been saying all along, we're starting to see it coming now. It's only a few more attacks away, and then you're going to be berserker modes everywhere. Not that I call for violence, I always call for peace, but I understand violence, and this is what's coming. This is the mindset that's coming. This is what's coming at you, this kind of commentary. Thanks for the comment anyway, but that's what I'm talking about. That's what's coming back. It doesn't matter if you agree with it or disagree with it. That's what's coming at you. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Thank you very much to everybody who has. Links down below. Rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others, always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. Q&A 222. And for those who join me for the very first time, this is me responding to various questions and comments get on various different videos. I never censor my comments, and I'm always open to people commenting, and I always encourage people, because you guys do control the conversation for the most part. I am responding to comments, and I never censor my comments, and whether we agree to disagree, it's always all good, so jump in on that. And this is where the big boy conversations happen, so sometimes things get said that are offensive. Sometimes, everybody has a different point of view, so that's good. Today's date is the 11th of February 2016, and I'm going to pick up where I left off on the last one. This one goes, Notregme, would you consider a good investment? What would you consider a good investment now? Keeping money in the bank is not going to be a good option pretty soon. Real estate, land, silver, what are your thoughts? Again, I'm no expert on that at all. Everything has its pros and cons. So, regardless of what you invest in, it's what are the pros and cons to it. So, gold and silver, there's a lot of gold bugs out there and silver bugs out there, and that's great and dandy and all. But you got a bar of gold. If you have a bar of gold, you're doing pretty good. But let's say you got an ounce of gold or whatever. Well, how do you spend it? Where do you spend it? Who accepts it? That's the stuff you need to work out how you're going to use it. Because if you can't figure out how you use it first, then particularly post-collapse. So post-collapse, I think cash is still going to be used. But I think maybe a little further down the road, gold and silver might be used. Because the system isn't set up for that yet. So it's not going to be set up, the day after of, okay, this is what gold and silver is worth, so we're now accepting gold and silver. And you have to understand who's setting that up now, and stuff like that. But I think gold and silver would be good, like for big purchases, like land or something like that. Land is always an investment. To a point. It does cost you money to own land, so you have to keep that, that becomes a liability too. But with land, if it's good land, or land that you can work, you can use it to grow food, stuff like that, so that's a good investment, right? Food, I think, is probably, in my opinion, the best investment you could possibly make. Storable food and seeds and stuff like that. Bread and bullets is more my thing, because I'm looking at it, gold and silver, well, even post-collapse, think about it, there's one resource one investment people always overlook is their own natural skills. So if you're a person with skills, trust me, let's say you have welding skills or farming skills, you're going to be very valuable during an economic collapse because others can't do that. Therefore, you're employable. How you get paid? Well, barter and trade might be one way you get paid. I don't know, you need a new pair of shoes. Somebody's Yeah, here, you can have my first daughter to marry. Okay, fine, great. And the daughter's like, okay, I need a new pair of shoes. Here's my new husband. Barter and trade, right? However it's going to work, it's going to work. But you get the idea. So as far as what to invest in for myself, I am invested with what my many moons ago job did. They had like an investment with Manual Life, and I saw that investment. I don't put anything in it, but I can't touch it till I'm retired. I'm not trying to be a comedian today. Don't worry. Yeah, retire. What kind of? It's a funny word nowadays. It really is. Oh, that's jeez. And there's so many of us that don't know what's coming, And I feel so bad for my nephew's generation. He's going to get so soaked, especially with Trudeau. I mean, throw all that debt on the back of the next generation, just to live it better now. And it's not even a great living better now when you think about it. That it's setting you up for the biggest disaster in human history. Yeah, but I'm invested in that, so I could lose that overnight. In 2008, I think out of 7 years, I had a total investment of about $25,000. Okay, in the bank or in the locked-in savings plan, right? So okay, I'm watching this thing. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. 2008, bang! I lose $11,000. So what am I going to lose on this one? I mean, I haven't recouped that. I haven't recouped that at all. Now I did make a withdrawal on it on one part of it that I could. I took out, I think, $3,500 and they tax you so heavily. You don't make any money on those things at all, unless you got billions in there. But it's like they tax you so heavily as soon as you take it out that it's like, what's the point? They should not be taxing retirement savings plans. It kind of goes against the purpose. Now the Conservatives were allowing you to have $5,000 to $10,000 in a retirement savings plan, tax-free. It was a certain plan, and the Liberals have taken that away, or are going to take that away. Which, again, why is it always that we have to? And the argument from the Liberals was because that only helps the rich. 10 grand is not rich. You know what I mean? Like that's the way they think, and they can use that against other people because people don't realize that maybe someday you might not put 10 grand in there every year, but if you could, I mean, it doesn't mean you're necessarily rich. Maybe you're taking half of your income and putting it in there for the future. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So it's like, oh, well, because it might help somebody out a bit more than somebody else. And they don't realize that always gets paid forward. But anyway, I digress. But land is a good idea because it's a place to go. Building on the land, that's I don't know how that's going to work post-collapse. I don't know if the problem that could lead to is a lot of shanty shacks in towns and stuff like that. So that could lead to a lot of conflict right there. Food, you can't go wrong. That's my take. Gold, silver, I think it's a good idea. But how are you going to use it? I think that's what the problem I have is how do you use it? Like, how do you buy a loaf of bread with a piece of silver? And a piece of silver might be worth, God knows what. How are you going to know what it's worth? That's the other thing, So it's. I'm not saying don't go into that stuff, but those are things to consider. So you have to look at the pros and cons of everything. Regular cash may still be used. I think it's going to be used for a long time after, even if it's worthless. Even at Weimar Republic, I mean, people still had, a loaf of bread cost you a wheelbarrow of cash, but you still had a wheelbarrow of cash, but you made money with the wheelbarrow as well. You know what I mean? So until something new comes in, the cash always seems to kind of be lying around. Ireland after 2008, when there wasn't enough euros going around, people started going into their sock drawers and pulling out the old Irish money. So like that. So cash will always be a form because people just need an easy way to barter and trade, and that's what the whole point of cash is barter and trade. The idea of a banknote or money, like paper money, was IOUs for gold or silver when it was pegged to that. Now, if the Chinese peg their dollar to gold or silver, which they may do in the near future, I mean, they already reserve currency, but they're not going to do it until they buy as much gold as possible. Once there's like almost no gold left on the planet, then they're going to peg it to that. And then you could actually buy other currencies. This is something a lot of people don't look at. Let's say the United States currency, for example, goes down overnight. Well, other currencies might be up. So you could change your money into those currencies. Diverse. Every country does this. Every country has a certain amount of currency from other countries. It's just that's how reserves typically work. You have a little bit of everything, right? You diversify. So it's not just gold and silver. It's everything, right? So that's something else to consider. I considered it myself. With a dropping loonie, I mean, heck, if you